Live stream, everybody. We are now over on YouTube. You can go to youtube.com/XoneBros and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is where all of our live streams will be for now on. Make sure you hit that notification tab because you'll be notified when we go live. youtube.com/X1Bros, or you go to x1bros.com/live whenever we're live, and you'll be able to see us there as well. And now to the show. Welcome, everybody, back to another show. We are the XoneBros. This is your positive gaming and Xbox One community. This is podcast number 317. As always, I am joined by the bros, the XoneBros. First, it's Mr. McSpicy.
Hello.
Second, Jordan the Man is not here, but we've got a fill-in. He is the one and only TIE Fighter.
Hey, what's going on?
TIE Fighter, welcome to the show. And last but not least, I am X1. Welcome, guys. This was a big week. We're going to just start right off the bat with the big news, the elephant in the room. Mixer is dead.
Goodbye.
Mixer has...
Well, it's dying.
It's dying a really quick
It
death.
has been stabbed in the heart.
It has been stabbed in
It
the
hasn't
heart.
died yet, but it's inevitable.
Yeah, so let's go to TIE Fighter. For those that maybe don't know the news or were gone on vacation or have just disconnected, why don't you catch them up on what all the news surrounding Mixer this week?
So we officially got word through a Twitter announcement on Monday morning-ish that as of July 22nd, Mixer will no longer be working. So Mixer's being shut down, and all of the partners and streams are being migrated over to Facebook Gaming.
Facebook
Gaming. So that was kind of an interesting choice, and I'm sure we can dive deep into the implications of Facebook plus Microsoft. But all the partners were given an offer to move their partnership over to Facebook Gaming. It seems as if many partners are not taking that.
doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, we'll talk about that too. But basically, yeah, Mixer is shuttering down. If you have spare embers, make sure you go to your favorite streamer's channel and spend them now. They are worth twice as much as they were before for the remainder of Mixer's time.
Yep.
Same with Sparks. They're also helping out a ton more. So if you have any of that currency, now is the time because none of it is going to transfer over to Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. So this kind of, it didn't really come as a shock. Anybody who was paying attention to the numbers just were not there for Mixer. They haven't been there for a while. While everyone is growing by 200, 300% over this quarantine period, Mixer was growing by 1%,
0.2%.
right? 0.2%. There you go.
0.2% year over year.
Just nothing. Microsoft did sign a deal with Facebook. It seemed like Facebook in some way purchased Microsoft or something. Where, after July 22nd, all the Mixer URLs will direct to Facebook Gaming.
Okay.
So there is something there with that. Let's start with the Facebook deal from a streaming standpoint.
Okay.
McSpicy.
Yo.
What do you think about Facebook Gaming as a streaming platform? A lot of streamers are choosing not to go there, it seems like. A lot are going to Twitch. A few are going to YouTube. We've decided to go to YouTube as a result. So everybody, if you've not heard the news yet, you heard at the beginning of the show, come join us, youtube.com/X1Bros. We believe it's the best place for the community. It's the best place for the podcast. For us, TIE Fighter actually has gone to Twitch yourself.
Yep.
And that seemed to be majority Twitch, a couple YouTube, but almost nobody's going to Facebook. Spicy, give me your analysis.
Okay, the polite way that I'm going to say this is we initially looked at it, right? When you get a huge change coming where your streaming platform is going away, that's a shock. So we're going to look everywhere, right? The polite way to say something about Facebook is it's rough around the edges. Like
that is so nice.
Yeah, it's rough around the edges. That's the nice way to put it. I'm a big time streamer watcher, and I have been watching streaming since Justin TV days, right. So years and years and years. And I have seen once Ninja moved to Mixer, and then you started to see a whole bunch of moves taking place. You had Shroud go to Mixer. You had Courage, who's a Fortnite streamer, go to YouTube. You had some Hearthstone streamers that I really like. They went to Facebook. For example, Disguised Toast. I really enjoy him as a streamer. Yeah. He actually went to Facebook Gaming, right? Facebook streaming. So I wanted to give it a chance. And there was a lot of missing variables that I think is pretty important to have as a streaming platform.
So as a full-time stream watcher, what is the first thing that you found was missing on Facebook from a viewing perspective?
Let's get to that. How am I supposed to find who I want to watch? That's really important. I actually, I was a big-time Disguised Toast watcher. I think he was an excellent streamer, one of the better Hearthstone streamers, and I really enjoy that game. And I hadn't heard from him in years. I thought actually...
it's gone.
He's at a poof, and poof, he's gone. Anyways, when I went to go look for him, because this is a big deal, I saw I went. Obviously, he's being promoted just like Ninja was being promoted on Mixer. He's always has a thumbnail basically on Mixer just to say they have the big name. He wasn't streaming live, but his logo was there. But I could not find live streams easily.
Okay,
it was very difficult to. Some were live, like when I would go to Facebook Gaming. I'm calling it Facebook streaming. I could not. There was like 3 live logos, but I had to keep scrolling down to try to find live people.
Right. So Facebook catalogs everything that you put onto their website. So every live stream that you do is automatically turned into a VOD, and that is what is posted as like the main feature of your content until you go live next time. But what they failed to do is if when I go offline, now if you go looking for me on Facebook, you may find a TIE Fighter video front and center because say you search for TIE Fighter all the time, because of course you do.
Yeah.
But
nice plug.
They don't make it very clear that what you are clicking on is not a live stream, but in fact a recording of my live stream from previously. And as a viewer, I agree with you. It's very difficult to know if what you are consuming is live or is a recording.
Which is actually really important with streaming.
Yeah.
Because the greatest thing about streaming is the live interaction. You can sit there and chat and manipulate what you're watching.
Absolutely. By
saying, hey, did you watch this movie? And then the person would start talking about that movie or whatever, It's a very intimate connection with the entertainer that's on, the content creator that's on the stream, right? So it's, to not have that, that's a big deal. There were a lot of other missing variables. I feel as though Facebook, I think, has a chance, but they need to fill those gaps.
Yeah.
And if those gaps were filled, if those gaps were full, maybe a lot more streamers would have moved over there instead of going to Twitch, or like us, instead of going to YouTube.
Sure.
Because, being an instant partner is a big deal. It's difficult. It takes a lot of time to become a partnered streamer.
It's work, yeah.
It's a lot of work. A lot of people don't realize how much work it is. Ninja, a big streamer, streamed 7 years basically almost to himself,
right,
until he was able to get that injection with the games he started playing to become what he is today, right?
Yeah.
So it's to have those missing gaps at this point in time made it really challenging to move over for us anyways. So yeah. Did that answer your question? I actually totally forgot what you asked me.
No, that's great. Just analysis on Facebook gaming.
As a viewer, it's difficult. So, as a streamer, it's complicated. Can I mention one more thing that makes it complicated as a streamer? Facebook is interesting in the fact that you can be an admin over many pages. Like for me, I have lots and lots of pages that I help other companies with. And so when you stream, it's very complicated. It could be a lot easier, but it's very complicated not to accidentally stream under the grocery store that you're helping, or another account that you are an admin on. I've actually, when we were multi-streaming on this channel, we used to multi-stream. We used to stream to Mixer, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube.
Facebook,
We streamed to all those. I streamed to my personal account so many times on accident, and I'd have people that I haven't seen in 20 years go, Mark, what's this? What's going on?
Well, here is
And
something
it's-
just off of that. TIE Fighter, talk a little bit about Facebook's weaknesses from a viewer standpoint. As far as you had mentioned this yesterday when we were talking, using a lot of people have their real name as their
Right.
Facebook
So
name.
let's talk strictly from a viewer perspective. When you go into chat, you are very much you. It is your name. It's not a screen name that you make up for Twitch. You don't have an avatar. It is your Facebook account.
Yeah.
And technically there is a way to get around that. You can treat yourself like you were going to be streaming, and that you can make a gamer page, and then you can start interacting with chat on behalf of that page.
Yeah.
So like I could go into chat and it would have my personal Facebook there as the standard, but then you can like click a button up in the top right corner, this little tiny picture, and that'll drop down. Okay, do you want to be Tyler or do you want to be TIE Fighter
Your page
today?
admin, yeah.
And you have to you have to toggle that every time you go into chat, because the default is always your personal
Facebook profile.
account.
That's why I would accidentally stream our stream
Yeah.
on my personal page because
Yeah.
it was It's,
But especially in gaming, think your gamer tag is your identity.
Absolutely.
And so you lose a little bit of identity there, but then just from a safety standpoint, how many people are going to
Right.
be open and honest or just have fun in chat if their personal profile
So,
is accessible by everybody?
We actually got a little bit of a spiel from Facebook Gaming as partners. They were kind of pitching the idea of moving over to Facebook, and one of the things that they said that they had been collecting data on was toxicity in chat, and were people more or less toxic when real names were used in chat. And according to the data that they found, that when people were interacting with each other in the chat for a specific stream, generally people were more civil because their reputation
name.
was
Yeah,
on the line, right?
absolutely.
They weren't hiding behind anonymity. And so in that respect, it could be good. But then on the other side, there are people out there who are bad and wrongdoers, and you are putting your real name out there, and potentially people would be able to find your face.
Yeah.
some people just want to watch the world burn.
They just want to watch.
This is
not about
this
the
is
money.
true.
It's not about the money.
And
Half.
So before we jump, I do also want to have the discussion. If you are someone interested in streaming, if you have been streaming and you have been streaming on Mixer, where should you go? I think it's safe to say the three of us would say probably not Facebook, although we'll go over that. But before we do, I want to talk about the business side of this.
Okay.
Because there's two aspects. There's Phil Spencer talked about the streaming aspect, which it seems like Microsoft just wanted out of the streaming game. Like we're completely out. And then he went on to talk about, if you read any article, it's always towards the bottom of the article, but using Facebook and the partnership with Facebook for xCloud and their xCloud program, and being able to, just like similar to what Google's advertising with Google Stadia, hit a button, bring up a game that a streamer's using, or maybe you see it on like the XoneBros page there or whatever, boom, and have instant access to that game streaming over the cloud.
Right.
That seems like a big business move that's kind of going under the radar a little bit with the news that Mixer is
To
dead.
me, it seems like, and they haven't announced it yet, we don't know if this is real, but like it could potentially be very much what Stadia had advertised with YouTube, right? Because both of those are integrations as a part of Google, and when they announced Stadia as a part of their big Stadia Live event last year, you remember they showed off the concept of a streamer playing a game, and then you as a viewer could say, cool, he's playing Call of Duty on Stadia. I also own Call of Duty on Stadia, and you could click the button and you are instantly a part of their ecosystem. And I think there is an eventuality where Xbox Game Pass or Xbox xCloud, those integrate with Facebook in such a way where people can connect and then stream through the cloud and play wherever there is Facebook, which is cool.
Absolutely. And Microsoft has talked about wanting to get Game Pass and the Xbox, their video games, in the hands of 1 billion people. I mean, Facebook is the largest social media. I mean, everybody has a Facebook at least. So this seems like a good step in that direction. Spicy, what do you think of that as far as that part of the transaction, Microsoft partnering with Facebook for this, future xCloud project that might be coming down the pike?
Like the partnership between $2 billion companies.
Yeah, exactly.
What could go wrong?
It could either be really good or the start of Skynet. So I don't know. So what the question is, what do I think
Yeah,
about
just your
them?
thoughts. Yeah, on that.
I actually didn't really think too much about it.
It's
I was
not the
thinking-
main story that's been out, really.
Yeah.
But it's something that Phil Spencer did talk about in the press release.
I mean, I actually I'm a big fan of Microsoft. I'm a big fan of anything that I like And
Oh, yes.
Microsoft makes Xboxes for me. They actually do a lot of software for me on PCs. And I really like PC building. I really like software. I mean, that's how I make a living is I use computers to make content and everything like that and design and make movies and all this stuff. I like Microsoft as a company. I don't know if I'm going to be controversial on this one. I'm going to be Jordan. I'm going to say something controversial.
Okay, go ahead.
You ready for this?
I am not a fan of Facebook.
Wow.
I do not like it at all. I think
It is bad.
I think
Wow.
Facebook is some of the most poorly written software and most invasive and lack of content creators' art. A lot of things I dislike about Facebook. There's a lot of good things about Facebook, maintaining friendships that otherwise wouldn't be maintained. Right?
Everyone's there.
Yeah, everyone's there. So I have Bruce Wayne.
Okay.
They're teaming up with the Joker. You know what I mean? Like Batman and Joker are getting together. A lot of good can come of that. A lot of bad, maybe. I don't know. So it's too early to call. And I don't mean to be controversial in the fact that I'm saying that I don't like a company and maybe someday they'll buy us and then I'm screwed because, this will be a VOD somewhere. But no, I really don't like Facebook at all. I've never liked it. There's a lot of problems, I think, with it. And and you got to understand, I'm coming from a person that's very not a social media kind of guy in the first place.
Sure.
If it wasn't for you or Jordan or the stuff guy Jim, I don't think we would ever post anything on any medium ever. But so keep that in mind. That's my perspective. I'm a very private person, and I feel as though Facebook is very invasive in a lot of things. But that said, to answer your question, I think there is a lot of potential with that partnership.
Sure, absolutely.
For a lot of good and a lot of greatness in gaming. But that's how I feel.
Yeah. So think about this. Let's pretend that similar to Google Stadia, it becomes a reality that you can just press, "Hey, I want to play this game." Boom, and you can bring it up and play it. Facebook is Instagram as well.
Yeah.
Can you
that's
imagine?
True, yeah.
Can you imagine? You could even just do an ad. You get your Instagram ads or a live stream on Instagram and stories, and just being able to bloop. Play a game right there from your phone.
It's true that we have seen people who have excelled really well on Facebook gaming.
Yeah.
There are a couple of creators that are on there that are doing outstandingly well. My worry is that a lot of those creators are doing well because they have pre-existing partnerships with Facebook and contracts that exist that allow them to promote in a wide number of places that a normal person would have to pay to promote. So they get X number of dollars per month worth of promotion to automatically appear on people's feeds or ads on their Instagram story timeline or whatever. And so to say that if you're a creator and you're coming to Facebook, this is what it could, this is what could happen to you. You could be as successful as these people, but you may not have access to some of the promotion that some of the biggest creators on that platform have.
Yeah, I would also argue though that that's probably the case with Twitch as well, and Mixer as well. I think to a lesser extent, but I agree with you 100% that. I mean, there's a lot of tools to the big boys that are available to them that aren't available to the little guys, right? So, but I agree 100% that Facebook has that on crack.
Yeah.
So let's jump into this question. We have a lot of members of the community, a lot of people out there that were aspiring streamers that were streaming straight to Mixer from their Xbox.
Sure.
Where should they go now? Let's just do a comparison. Let's talk about the streamer that should go to Facebook. We've been talking about Facebook. Who should consider streaming to Facebook?
Man,
answer that one. This one's going to TIE Fighter.
Yeah, right. So
I've got an answer for this one.
This has been a question that we've been talking about pretty much since we heard that Mixer was integrating into Facebook. Is like, okay, who is Facebook for right now? Who are people streaming to on Facebook? I saw a comment in the chat and I missed who it was from, but the gist of it was Facebook is for boomers. And the truth of it is that the age of Facebook is increasing. The average age of the Facebook user is much higher than it was 10 years ago.
Our parents are there.
That's right.
And actively using it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And the youngest generation, Generation Z and below, they have no desire to use that platform because it is the old people platform. And so if you are going to be making content on Facebook, you need to make sure that your content is catering to the people that are using it most, which are now older people. And so are those, is that the generation that is going to support live stream gaming content? I'm not sure. And so maybe if you are a content creator that makes live stream videos that caters to, the greatest generation or even older, the people who are on Facebook more than any other generation right now, that may be the best way to be successful.
Yeah. At the same time, I'm gonna tap onto that. I think the viewership of live streams is much older than the viewership of video on demand, like YouTube. I feel like YouTube is a younger audience, and Twitch is an older audience.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So, maybe I misunderstood what you're saying, but Facebook.
I'm saying Facebook is the oldest audience.
The oldest. Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah, okay.
And I think that's like my parents.
The oldest audience.
Yeah, like our parents are there. Our parents aren't on Twitch, right?
Absolutely.
Like that's the thing. I would argue that if you're catering to an older audience, you should absolutely consider streaming on Facebook. I would also say if you've built up a following on Facebook, maybe you had a page and you are really active on that page and you have got a few thousand followers there already, maybe tens of thousands of followers on there. I think that makes sense to give it a serious consideration as well, because all those people automatically, become potential live viewers and followers. Sure.
I think Chad is asking, is Ty calling us old, or are you calling them snooty? Or
all right,
regular Facebook users. I have other words I could use.
Let's discuss Twitch. Who should consider going to Twitch? Let's start with Mr. McSpicy and then go TIE Fighter. Since TIE Fighter, you actually made the decision to go to Twitch.
I did.
It'd be interesting to get your perspective. But Spicy, let's start with you. Who should consider streaming on Twitch?
Well, Twitch is the king of streaming. Of live streaming, they are the king. They have issues. Every platform is going to have issues, so keep that in mind. But as far as sheer numbership and potential at right now, maybe not potential, because YouTube has a lot of potential. That's their name, is potential. But as a feasible service for streaming, Twitch is a very good choice. The fear, I don't know if the concern is getting lost in the noise
100%
of Twitch. Twitch is, you have 1% dominating everything, and then you have hundreds of thousands little,
Yeah, and that 1% even it breaks down, it's scalable downwards, right? So like that 1% overall, and then 1% in each game that you're in, you'll see 1% dominating the viewership.
Yeah. The nice thing about it is Twitch Prime is such a good service for content creators, because if you have everybody uses Amazon.
Correct.
Everybody does. And you really have instant access to a free $5 a month if you push it pretty hard.
Right.
That is that's very entertaining to consider. Very, you want that. You know what I mean? It's tangible. You want that Twitch Prime money. So that's something to consider, that it'll help you initially. And keep in mind, streaming is cutthroat. It's a very good, enjoyable thing to do, but it takes a lot of work. And because it is very desirable, you're going to have a lot of people going for it, and that's why it's potentially you're going to get lost in the noise a little bit.
Correct.
YouTube, I think, is kind of at its infancy a little bit.
For game live streaming.
Yeah, definitely not.
So
they're a monster on VOD.
So who streaming on Mixer should consider going to Twitch? Like what would be the situation?
Yeah, it depends. Like,
I can take this one if you want.
Twitch is a great service, so go for it.
So we have already seen, even in the last 7 days, 5 days, I guess I should say, that there are some Mixer creators that have transferred over to Twitch that are killing it. They're doing great. We've seen a large subgroup of some of the bigger partners from Mixer already get partner acceptances on Twitch because they have large pre-existing followings. And so because of that, they can mobilize those followings from Mixer to Twitch. And then on their very first day, they're getting hundreds of viewers and thousands of followers which puts them in the top, 0.5% of content creators on Twitch, because we know the vast majority of creators on Twitch have 1 to 3 viewers at a time.
Yeah.
Which means if you can get 50, if you can get 100 or 200, like some of these people with big followings,
You're top 20%. Yeah.
You're top 2%.
Yeah.
And so if you have a pre-existing following on Mixer that will follow you wherever you go and continue to support you on whatever platform you're making on, Twitch can be an automatic win for you, because you're automatically stepping ahead of the vast majority of people who are just getting started.
Yeah, I think that is what it comes down to. If you have a built community somewhere and you want to really succeed in streaming, Twitch is a fantastic place to go, because you get a little bit of notoriety and it will just multiply, because everybody that's wanting to watch live streams is on Twitch. Like, their audience is giant. Twitch is the king.
Well, that's where you
so,
go, right? If I want to see a game being live streamed, if I want to learn about a new title, that's you ask 10 people and 9 of them are going to say, I'm going to go watch on Twitch.
Yeah, great analysis. Let's jump to YouTube. Who should consider going to YouTube? TIE Fighter, we'll start with you, and then we'll go McSpicy.
I actually think my really good friends over at the XoneBros would do really well at YouTube.
Hey, this is true.
So I think that YouTube is very dependent on content style. The XoneBros in general is actually a really good example of a group that would do well on YouTube, because your content is much more evergreen than a live stream of what I'm playing today on Destiny, right? And so since you are making evergreen content every time that you guys are live with this podcast, it's immediately being turned into a VOD, and that's where it's going to thrive on YouTube. And so engaging with the audience here and building the audience where your content is already thriving through historical views, that's really going to drive content towards you guys really well. I'm very excited for YouTube, and I think it's 100% the right choice.
Yeah. I agree 100% with what he said.
Anything to add? Take away?
No, I just think there's some gaps, a little bit of the gaps as well. Yesterday I did a live stream to test things out, and there are missing features that I think is important for live streams, such as like gifting subs, for example.
Sure.
That's huge.
They are joins.
Oh,
And joins.
I gotta get used to that. That's right. It's called memberships at YouTube. Membership. They've had subscriptions forever, and I gotta get used to saying, better hit that bell.
Smash that.
Smash that bell.
Join today.
Join. But I assume that those gaps are going to be filled. I mean, when we were streaming on a Mixer, it's actually kind of frustrating to see Twitch have all these features and Mixer missing those and getting those later. You know what I mean?
If they got them at all for some of them.
Yeah, to see, because Twitch is so good with all their features, because they were at Justin TV, they were getting the kinks out for actually streaming without disconnects and things like that. Before Amazon purchased them, Twitch was a nightmare. It was awful. I can't even believe how many times I'm watching a streamer and they just get cut off, or they just start skipping, or it was just bad. Amazon dollars came in, and after about 2 years, it took about 2 years after Amazon purchased Twitch until we started seeing smooth streams, right? So Twitch has this huge head start with features and with stability, and all that stuff. YouTube, Google is an interesting company. They see something that works, and then they go, let's see if we can change it. And they do that a lot. This is Google. This is not YouTube. That's just how Google's mindset is. Even when I was testing some streams yesterday, there were a lot of problems that I was having because they had just switched over to a new streaming service.
New software, new way to handle it on the back end.
New way to handle it, and it was causing a lot of issues. And after researching it, I was up till like 2, 3 in the morning last night trying to figure things out. And everybody was annoyed that streams, because they're like, it was working. Why did you have to fix something that wasn't working, right? So anyways, basically what I'm saying is, we've been at Mixer, we're now going to YouTube. Being behind the feature richness of Twitch is a little frustrating. We know that they're going to come. We know that they're adding stuff. But what
feature besides group joins, gifted joins, I should say, what feature are you really looking forward to sharing with the community from Twitch onto YouTube Gaming?
Oh, like something that Twitch has that YouTube Gaming doesn't have? Not having not having to recreate my stream key every time I go to stream, you know?
Is that for real?
So their old system had that.
Had a permanent one,
It
yeah.
had a permanent one.
Yeah.
Their new system is not like that. You can technically make a stream key permanent, but you have to go into it and recreate the stream key again in a weird way.
So when you log in to stream again, it'll be like, do you want to use the settings from your last stream? And you just hit yes.
Okay.
But you got to do that. You can't just go.
You can't
live.
you can't just go on your encoder
Ew.
like OBS and
But
hit
the old stream you could
Yeah.
and just leave it in there.
Do you think there was some sort of security issue with that?
I think that what they're trying to do is merge their VOD system, their evergreen content, and streaming. So, for instance,
Correct.
with the new system, you're able to set premieres that show up in your feed that people can hit reminders for. You weren't able to do that before, and as a result, you can schedule out all of your streams, let's say for the next year, and have them all as an individual one, and it will show up in people's YouTube feeds.
Sure.
I think that's what they're trying to do, and that's why they went this
yeah,
direction.
and we figured that out because so we have chat right here, right? Every time on their new system, hey chat everybody, every time on their new system, the chat box would be tied to the VOD.
Okay.
And so it would every time, like if you wanted to like post a link on Twitter or something, it would take you to the VOD of the live stream that you had. You can't just say my stream is here.
Okay.
It's kind of complicated because they took something that was really simple, put in a stream key to your encoder, and press stream.
Right.
And then they are making it really complicated to try to fit their paradigm of VODs.
Yeah.
And having their VODs be, where the VODs go, and then have a URL for those. It's really interesting. Luckily, they still have the classic. They call it the classic mode. That's what we're using right now. That's what we've set up right now. Hopefully, they don't get rid of it. It was working. And then they wanted to fix it,
Right.
And
I
so
hate when they try and fix things.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's a very Google mindset to do that.
So-
Yeah.
Sorry. So just to summarize, excuse me. I think if you're someone that is currently creating evergreen content, let's say you're doing a Call of Duty channel and you're doing news of Call of Duty and you're doing updates of Call of Duty, you're doing guides of Call of Duty, and you want to stream Call of Duty, YouTube's a great option for you. If you just want to stream, I'm not sure that YouTube is going to fit your needs as a streamer.
I agree. Being solely a game streamer and not wanting to take advantage of YouTube's VOD system, you'd be missing out on what makes YouTube great.
Exactly. Great conversation. It was a big week for streaming. All in all, I think it's just going to be really interesting to see how it all plays out. I definitely don't think any of those big three. This isn't a mixer situation or a D-Link D-Live situation, right? Or any of these like. These guys aren't going anywhere anytime soon, right? Like, I mean, they're giant corporations that have other ways to support themselves. Michael Contini with the super chat. Thank you very much. Happy first YouTube stream. Still support you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Michael Contini. Appreciate it. For those of you that want to join us live, you can do so now over at youtube.com/XoneBros each and every single week.
Actually, the live is x1bros.com/live.
Yeah, but if you just go to, we'll show up at the top. of our
We're
page,
still
so.
figuring out our URLs, but
yeah,
yeah.
But yeah, there we go. Great discussion on streaming. It's where I feel like we're 1930s Hollywood with streaming.
Yeah.
Like we're at the beginning. It's going to be interesting to see how it evolves and where it goes. We had Avengers. We had some gameplay come out of a couple games.
Yeah.
The first one was Avengers this week. TIE Fighter, you were really interested in this one and paying attention to it.
Yeah.
Will you just walk through what was released, what was discussed and
Sure.
talked about, and then we'll
So,
get our impressions from there.
Yeah, Avengers was actually on my list of most anticipated games of 2020. We saw a little bit of it last summer. We got a little tease. We got
right.
little bits here and there. But today was, for the very first time, we finally saw some gameplay. We finally got a much better insight into who the bad guy is, what gameplay looks like, and it was pretty cool. It was actually like a 20-minute long. Like they called it a war table. We're seeing it here on stream. And it walked us through a couple of different types of missions, and then we got a look at some of the UI for gear specialization as well too. So what we're seeing on stream right now is basically the intro into a single-player Thor mission. And so just stepping off of this, they have two different types of missions. Missions where you are single player and it is made specifically for one character. So they want to develop a story around that one character for this mission. And then they do much larger scale multiplayer missions where you can pretty much bring any hero that you want into the fray. And then those heroes can all work together to accomplish some goal.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is a Thor mission, and so you're going up into the sky. I don't know if you remember the giant like hovering aircraft carriers from Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is them fighting on the deck of one of those, and you are fighting as Thor to get rid of all these robots that are attacking. And you go around, you use all your Thor abilities, your hammer smash and your hammer swing and your lightning, and overall it looks pretty cool. I'm still definitely excited to see all the different types of gameplay that we see, because this kind of reminds me of, and this is a bad word here, this kind of reminds me of Anthem, in that you're going to be able to engage with this game in many different ways all at the same time, right? Each one of these characters is going to have their own play style, their own feel, their own move set, their own button presses, right? And so it's going to take a long time for people to really become a master of this game. And so this is just a taste of what it's like to be Thor. They then went into the menu system a little bit later and showed like the different skill trees that every one of these characters has. And so like as Thor, you can build your Thor to be more focused on melee, or more focused on range, or more focused on defense or support. And there's just a bunch of different ways to build each one of these characters. So my Thor is different from your Thor, and your Hulk is different from my Hulk. And so anyway, yeah, this gameplay was like a really cool look into what this game is going to be. I'm definitely still looking forward to it on day one. I'm still just a little it's still just a little unclear what gameplay looks like. If I want to play this for an hour, what does it look like? If I want to sit down and play for 8 hours, what does it look like? How does progression feel over the course of that time?
So did this make you more or less excited?
This made me more
Avengers?
excited, because this game in general has been a huge question mark, because all we saw at E3 last year was that like 15-30 seconds of gaming
where they're like on the bridge.
They're on the Golden Gate
across,
Bridge, and all you see is Hulk go like punch, 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 and like that was all we saw. And so this is really good to get a feel for
Smash. It's Smash with Hulk.
Well, he was punching and smashing, I guess. So we did see two things.
Yeah.
But I was very encouraged by the concept of the skill tree and developing my Thor the way I wanted it to be. They showed off a lot of cosmetics that you can earn as a part of this game too. And then another big positive for me was that they're going to have expansions in both new characters and new missions and content, and those will all be free as a part of the purchase of the game. So
yeah, my first impressions of this, it's interesting. It seems like almost a Diablo style game that we're getting here, where you jump in, you play, you want to level up one of your characters,
Sure.
you play with them as your main, then you jump out, you hop into another mission with another character leveled them out, or with your friends, and use them together that way. So it seems almost a very, like you said, Anthem, very Diablo style. You go in, level up, get out. The other thing that really stood out to me is how they talked a lot about how your characters can work together with their supers and stuff like that. And that seems interesting. And if done right, that could be a really cool draw to the game, right? So my custom Thor, what can he do with your custom Hulk that works together and makes it cool? The gameplay looks great. I mean, who doesn't want to be Thor flying around with his hammer, smashing stuff?
I sure hope it feels as good to fly with Thor as it did to fly in Anthem.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Right, so that really set a precedent for what it feels to fly as Thor or Iron Man or any of those. Now we kind of know, we have an expectation for what that's going to feel like, and if this game that comes out a year and a half later doesn't feel as good, that's going to be a bummer.
Yeah, just jumping off of your point where we kind of still don't know, that's the big question. Where do we go from here? When you jump in and play a level, like we can see this level, what's next?
Right.
And is it entertaining? Is it enough to keep you going? Or is it a disappointment?
Yeah, and one thing I didn't see addressed here, and I don't know if I should be worried or if they just decided not to cover it this one, is we don't see a single piece of loot drop in this whole demo. Like, I have no idea what it means. How do I get my hands on like the next iteration of the hammer? Does it look cool when a gold one drops, or does it look cool when a purple one or a blue one drops?
Yeah.
We got no reference for what that looks like. Are they dropping from enemies, or are they just rewards at the end of the game?
Yeah.
Or is it something you just buy from the vendor back at the anthill, which is what they call the home base later in the trailer. So I'm a big loot guy. Destiny, Division, Borderlands, that's my deal. So I'm very curious to see how that system works, because it's super important for it to feel good every time something falls on the
Spicy, what are your thoughts? Avengers right here.
Totally agree with him. The loot is the carrot on the stick. That's why you're playing. Besides having fun, kicking butt as Thor. So my thoughts on the trailer. I'm a huge comic guy, and being able to smash Mjolnir around and smash it around. I'm curious to see on how the flight feels different, if it feels different from like an Iron Man versus a Thor, because they fly in two different ways.
Very much so.
You know what I mean?
Thor is being pulled by his hammer, and Iron Man is being pushed by his rockets.
Correct. I wonder. My thoughts are, I wonder if they're going to feel different, because that would be really cool if every character felt significantly unique, right? As we're watching this trailer, I notice the camera shakes after every hit. And you go into like Dutch angle cameras where the camera, see how it slants to the right or to the left?
I do see that.
That makes me happy as a film, just like a filmographer, right? They're doing things that are immersing you in. You wouldn't notice that necessarily playing, but as they shift that makes you feel like something's intense and something's wrong.
And you can give weight to different actions.
The Dutch angle. So we have a Dutch angle right now. It's just slightly tilted, but then as you hit and stuff, it slightly wobbles too, and that's making the hits not feel like just a regular punch. That feels like you're getting hit, or you're getting
knocked off axis.
With a hammer that was built by a dying star.
You're getting hit by a god.
Correct. You know what I mean?
I really appreciate that take there, because I didn't notice it at all. But now that you are pointing it out with a cinematographer's eye, you are 100% right, and it looks really cool now that I'm seeing it.
The wobble, the tilt, it makes something's off kilter, something's wrong, and then that wobble, and you're feeling like you're a badass Thor hitting hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really, really appreciate that in this trailer a lot. So that gets me excited for the immersion factor and everything like that. As far as the loot goes, I wonder if they remove that for this.
That's what I was wondering, right?
For the show off?
They didn't talk about it at all. They didn't cover it as a part of like, hey, look at all this cool loot that you get. They covered the UI where you interact with your loot, but they didn't talk about like, am I going to be grinding for better rolls? Am I going to be finding special loot from specific bosses? I was unsatisfied with the conclusions around loot from this, but I think you're right. I think that just wasn't the point of today.
They're probably trying to keep it a little bit hidden so they have something else to hype later on, right? They're just trying to do that. Overall, I'm completely biased and a sucker towards superhero video games, superheroes in general. Like this is touching me in every right spot.
It's touching you how you like it.
It just looks so good. Oh my gosh, it looks so good.
Hopefully,
what was the quote? I can take care of myself.
I can turn myself on.
I'm going to turn myself on. Yeah, this is so good.
There you go, guys. Marvel Avengers. If you've not
see how that tilts, look at that tilt.
If you've not checked out the gameplay, go check out the gameplay trailer. The War Table that dropped this week. Really excellent. Let's get to the big boys. The Cyberpunk event happened. But before we do that, I do have to shout out a super chat. Chief Wiggum says, "Congrats, guys, on the move to YouTube." Chief Wiggum, thank you very much for that super chat. Cyberpunk, it had its event. They spent a lot of time showing off one singular aspect. Let's go. Will you walk us through that again real quick, TIE Fighter?
Yes.
And then let's get your thoughts and first impressions.
So this is kind of our first look at Cyberpunk 2077 in a while. I was lucky enough to get into kind of the behind the curtain demo at E3 2019. So I've had the chance to see what gameplay looks like, and I was excited for them to show some of that demo as a part of their Night City Wire, which was the first of what apparently is going to be a number of them before the game releases now in November. And they had the opportunity to show us what the open world was going to be or what missions were going to look like. But instead, they actually spent a lot of time looking at a mechanic that exists in some missions called brain dancing.
Yeah. Is that what it was called?
Brain dancing.
I know they
it
called
took me a while to figure it out.
BD, yeah.
But I could swear they were saying break dancing.
And Mark,
for
it's
a
towards
while.
the end.
It's towards the end.
It's like
It's on
the
back
whole
half.
end. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's before that.
Yeah,
before
it's before that.
I'm looking
There
at
you
it.
go.
Yeah,
Just there it is.
and this is so fascinating.
So basically, what it is, if you remember the detective scenes from the Arkham series as Batman, you are living someone's memory and then using the power of your cybernetic implants to fast forward, rewind, scan, and learn more about the environment around which this person was experiencing something. And then from that, you can learn about their death or learn about something that happened there while they were there. They spent a very long time covering these mechanics. And, personally, I'm kind of interested in playing the game. And I guess that it's kind of weird for me to say that because, this is playing the game. But I don't know. To me, this kind of seemed a little slow, a little...
Well, it was like a niche. It was showing off just one specific feature. And I
Yeah,
think-
they spent a lot. Okay, that's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of time talking about this one very specific mechanic that I think is going to end up being not super consequential to my overall experience.
it seems like a lore mechanic.
Yeah.
Like deep lore.
They said specifically that this is going to be built into the game in a way where it's going to be appearing quite often. Like
good.
this
I,
is
I know they talked about like it being missions and figuring out different things from missions. It felt like lore, like we're learning about people who we're working with and stuff like that.
Did you ever play The Witcher 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So these guys are very story driven, and I think because of that mindset, that's why we're seeing how much detail they're putting into each story they're telling. And I feel as though this is like this is kind of showcasing how much detail they're putting into even just a scene where a guy goes in and robs a store.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I feel as though that maybe that was their mindset going in and showcasing this in the way that they did.
Yeah.
I think I might end up caring a lot more about it if I know who it is I'm investigating.
sure.
One thing
For
that
sure.
they didn't do a very good job of is making me give, any sort of worry about who it is I'm interacting with. Like, why am I investigating this guy? Why am I worried about his memory? You're investigating the man who's robbing the store currently. We're investigating his death because he actually dies at the end of this scene. And we're investigating why he died and who killed him. But I don't know him. I don't know the clerk. I don't know the person who pulled the trigger. So I don't have any context surrounding this.
not
And
only that-
I think if I came in with a better understanding of my purpose for looking this, my motivation for trying to figure this out, I would feel better.
Yeah,
about it.
exactly. Not only that, but we don't know how this is fitting into the game mechanics
Right.
themselves.
We do know that there was sabotage involved, which is sabotage, which is,
Saboteur.
that's important in a conflict story.
This is true. This
So-
is true. My first impressions of it, I really liked the couple second clips that we got at the beginning and in between. Even I'm sorry, what was the name of this again? The BD.
Cyberpunk 2077.
The BD.
Brain dancing.
Brain dancing.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Sounds
yeah.
like mind blow job, but it's a brain dance.
MBJ.
I really liked the glimpses of the world, and I think that's what the most interesting part of Cyberpunk to me. The big draw, the hype around Cyberpunk is this crazy cool world, this highly detailed,
Yep.
highly ambitious open world that they've promised us, right? That they're talking about. They did show part of it. They showed the Badlands, which was my favorite part again of this show. I like that there's this contrast between this dark tech, hyper tech city that you're in, and then you go out to the surrounding desert,
Right.
and it looks destitute. They call it the Badlands. That was very interesting to me. I also liked seeing some of the first person combat, the driving, the shooting.
Isn't
That
the
all
car
looked-
cool?
Dude, that car. All the
that's
cars.
an icon.
Even-
That's going to be an iconic car, just like the Batmobile, just like the Back to the Future. That's going to be a
Dude,
car.
all the cars, even the car, it's a different car when they're out in the Badlands, and even that car's like, I'm sure that's a piece of crap
That
in
was
this
pretty
game,
cool.
but that car looks badass,
pretty
right?
cool.
Like,
And I'm going to be having a trench coat, have the biggest collar pop you've ever
look at
seen
you,
in your
yeah.
life.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
it looks really cool world wise. That's why I don't think this hit, and I think a lot of people probably feel the same way I do, and this brain dance
Nice job.
just didn't feel. I mean, it's a really cool feature, I'm sure, in the game. But what I really want to see is the world and how it
Sure.
really interacts. And this did make me more excited, though, even those small glimpses.
No, I actually really, really enjoyed this. But I enjoy playing my game slow.
You are a total.
Yeah.
I'm a slow guy.
You're a detail guy.
Yeah, I'm a detail guy. And so I would spend time going through these videos and checking the corners and looking at
What else
this.
can I
and- yeah.
find?
So this appealed to me a lot. I thought this was really
Well,
fascinating.
I think it could be a really cool mechanic, but like TIE Fighter said, I just don't know context.
Right. Yeah, and it's important to understand this isn't the only Night City wire that we're going to get. They've mentioned that they're going to have another episode probably by late July or early August, and then at least one more before the game releases. So this is only the tip of the iceberg. I mean, even if you weren't blown away by brain dancing or driving out in the Outlands, that's okay. I think we're absolutely going to get an episode where they're going to dive into what it looks like to run a quest, what it looks like to have different abilities or different implants in your body. And then we're going to learn a lot more about that. So just because this one wasn't a banger as far as what gameplay looks like, I still think that there's a lot to learn between now and when.
Overall, I think regardless, they could show us in-game poop, and
Yeah,
we would
I
be
mean,
really
it's
excited
CD
for this
Projekt
game.
Red.
I
and
would-
they've really earned our trust.
Yeah,
at this point,
right.
so
I mean, they
we'll
really,
see.
they really have. Our last topic before we get to some of the news, some more of the news that happened this week is Crossfire X. We all had a chance to
Yeah.
play it. The beta was here. Now, this is the world's most popular game, and when they talked about it at E3, we were like, "What? What is this? What is this
excuse
game? We have no idea what this game is."
Well,
Come to find out-
remember we were there, and Phil
Yeah.
Spencer was behind us to the right. I remember this, and he was talking on the world's most powerful, or not powerful console, but the most popular game. It's so exciting to have it come. All this stuff.
Yeah.
We're getting hyped, and then they're Crossfire X,
and it was a trailer, and we
And
didn't
we're
know
like-
what it was. It
Yeah,
was like,
what
oh.
is this game?
what
It's
the hell
Call
is
of Duty.
that?
So we had a chance to play it. We had a chance to jump in. I'll go first. I just want to give my first
Please.
impressions of the beta. We have been really into Warface Breakout lately, and I actually think, are you ready for this, everybody? Warface Breakout is broken. Like, that's just season 1 launched. We've been playing season 1. I feel like it's just broken. Crossfire X feels smoother. It feels like it already has an identity. Obviously, I mean, it's been a game that's been around for forever. It's got a couple different modes here. There's classic mode, which is CS:GO. You cannot aim down sight. It's all
No sprinting.
unless and no sprinting, and unless you're a sniper, you can't aim down sight. Only snipers. That's classic mode. Then there's modern mode, which is essentially a conquest, capture the
Yeah.
flag point, and then in classic mode there is it's
Phantom?
Spectre mode. I
Spectre
want to
sounds
say,
good. Yeah, maybe Spectre.
and that is where this game
Dude,
shines.
that is the best.
That game is so fun. So that game mode, and this must be the main game mode that is super popular because it is by far, to me, the funnest. It adds this strategic point that doesn't exist in the other modes. But what it is basically is it's the same as classic mode, where there's 2 points. You got to plant a bomb. One team defends, one team attacks. You got to plant the bomb. The twist here is that the attacking team is invisible. All you have is knives and a bomb, and you're invisible. And while you walk, you basically, it's not gimmicky invisibility.
No.
You're legit invisible.
It's very close to perfect
Yeah.
invisibility.
Now if you start running, there's like an outline that shows. When you start killing, there's an outline that shows, and people obviously know that they're being stabbed by you. But it adds this crazy strategy that is so satisfying on both the defense. It makes both sides equally fun to be invisible, to be attacking, to be defending. It's beautiful. I'm very excited for Crossfire, particularly that game mode, to come out in full context and to just really dive in and play it. TIE Fighter, your thoughts?
So I agree with you completely on the Spectre mode. Having full-time invisibility and only being able to knife people made a really cool sense of like trying to use your angles and trying to flank enemies and coming up behind them. It was very like I am the invisible man, and it was really cool. And then the mechanic that they've added where you are extremely invisible until you decide to run, so you have to walk everywhere.
Yeah.
But the enemy can sprint, and so they can get away from you, and you have to be real sneaky about it. But then you have a one-hit kill with your knife, and you have to defend your C4 once you plant it. It was just really cool, really dynamic, and a very interesting take on that style of play. One thing that I didn't like, and you and I experienced this in one match, right now in the modern mode, which is kind of just like the team deathmatch, but you do have the ability to aim down sights and you can sprint. There is currently only one spawn point for each team on either side of the on either side of the
I
map.
was on the spawn killing side.
Yes.
That was like the funnest time
And
I've had in years.
so what we experienced was on the other team there were a few people shooting, but there were 2 people that just had their knives out. And in modern mode, if you have your knife out instead of a gun,
You are so fast.
you are the road runner. You are just running circles around people. And what they would do is they would knife a person and then they would sprint to spawn. And then as soon as you popped up, because there's like 2 or 3 seconds between when you die and when you spawn, as soon as you pop up, shink, right there.
Oh.
And you were knifed again. And then they would
Actually,
just start running circles around the spawn point.
I didn't even think about using the knife. I was running out of ammo so many times. They would appear, and there's like a second of them not doing anything, and I just go pop, pop, pop in the head, grab another gun off the ground, pop, pop, pop in the head, grab another
And so
gun.
we had like two or three guys just running in figure eights through our spawn, and your feet would hit the ground and you would die
Yeah.
every time. time, and there'd be nothing that you could do.
You're saying that's a bad thing. I was on the other side of it, and me and Jordan were laughing our heads off.
We came out at the end of this game. I think I was the team leader with 11 kills, and the other team won, and they had two guys with like 57 kills and 46 kills.
It was so lopsided.
Awesome.
Just unbelievably unfair.
I had a shield too, so no one could do it. It just boom, boom, boom,
Yeah, right?
boom, 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 boom.
So I think
kept
there's
appearing.
absolutely some balance issues, but if you're comfortable with the CS:GO or with the new Valorant style of play, this will be kind of a touch on that for the console players. So that's really good. And then the Spectre mode was wacky fun, and being invisible is really, really cool. So
this is new strategic addition that is really cool. Spicy, how about yourself? Thoughts, impressions?
So me and Jordan talked about this game. I mean, we played this game a lot, and we talked about it a lot. There is definitely a place for this style of game on console.
Oh, absolutely.
We haven't had it before. We recently got it with Breakout, and I like that game a lot. However, it's frustrating when the netcode goes haywire.
It's broken right now.
And that happened a couple times to us. One thing that happened to us, you mentioned the sword and the pistol. There was more than once where we would choose our loadout to be the M16 loadout, and it wouldn't let us use anything except a shield and pistol. And so I think it was like half of a match one time. That's all I had was shield and pistol, no matter what I choose.
Yeah, you have to switch your loadout. I mean, I don't know. I think that was just me not knowing how to get rid of the shield.
Yeah. No, we were legit stuck on it.
No, we were like swapping back and forth trying to make it work, and every time it would just default.
But that was modern mode. Modern mode. Yeah.
Well, that happened to me too. I thought I was not knowing how to do stuff. Is that a bug?
It's either a bug or a feature when your team is behind.
I was very much trying to get rid of it, and it wouldn't.
I was trying too, but I was also spawn killing. So
you were saying Warface. You really like Warface Breakout, this style of game, but Warface Breakout is just not where it needs to be.
The netcode is it's one game. 50% of the time, it works every time.
Yeah.
You know. Okay. So one game it works, one game it doesn't. Right. So. That's super frustrating. I played a lot more classic mode than any other mode.
Oh yeah, on Crossfire.
And to be able to play this game type without those problems
that Warface has,
the problems I had were it was 1 out of 10 instead of 1 out of 2.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Obviously, it's a beta. Obviously, they're still figuring things out, porting it to
it's
a
definitely
console.
a port from PC. I mean, there's a mouse cursor on the
There's
screen.
a mouse everywhere.
Exactly.
For those in chat that are wondering, it is still currently available for download, but just for this weekend. So if you're listening to this episode on Monday, I do feel you've missed it.
The most popular game in the world. I really liked it. It was weird going back to that old school style of not being able to zoom in and not being able to sprint.
It was really jarring.
It's jarring, right? Because you're so used to that. But it takes me back almost to those days where you're just that's how it was. You know what I mean? And it's very more position tactical. If you can't sprint out of there. You know what I mean? Right. It's once that clicks, it is extremely fun and a good time. And the console has lacked this game type for a very long time.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a space for it. I think this is going to be huge for Xbox going forward.
And it's free to play.
Yeah.
Throw that in there.
This is a big deal coming to the console, coming to Xbox especially.
Did you enjoy Spectre mode the best, or what? What do you
like
the classic
good.
mode?
That's awesome. That one makes you smile.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. There you go, Crossfire. The beta's here. If you've not had a chance to jump into it, it's available to the 27th, I believe, or at least the rest of the weekend if you're listening.
We'll say sure.
There was one time me and Jordan were playing, and we all died because it was a bug in the game. So this does have bugs, right? We saw everybody on the other team with their names over their head. The game started, and we saw all their team, and we could see them like they were on our team.
Nice.
And it was, but I didn't shoot them because I thought they were on my team.
Yeah.
And so we all lost because we were like, where are they? Those are our teammates.
That is too funny. So Crossfire X, guys, stay tuned. It's just beta right now. It is coming to the Xbox. Very exciting. And that brings us to the next segment of our show. We've got a special.
Hey, that's me, the TIE Fighter.
There it is, TIE Fighter.
It was our news bumper with TIE Fighter.
TIE Fighter. There
He's
it
our
is.
news guy. We voted Jordan's out.
See ya.
TIE Fighter, before you tell us what's happening in the world that is Xbox One this week, I just want to shout out to Super Chat from Rocket4. He says, excited for this next chapter for the community on YouTube.
That's awesome.
Best community in gaming. Thank you very much, Rocket4. Appreciate the Super Chat. So we went over a lot of news already, TIE Fighters.
I was
so
going to say, what do you want me to talk about here?
Is there anything extra, or are we just shouting you out?
The only story that I think you and I spoke about yesterday is the fact that a leak came out, and it was found that Rocksteady, the creators of the Arkham series Batman, are currently working on a Suicide Squad game.
Cool, yeah.
I don't know too much about what that game will look like, but I believe that we will learn more about it at the DC show that is supposed to be happening in August. So there you go. I wish I had more information.
Well,
but of course, when I said, X, do you want me to prepare a news segment for tonight? And he said, nah, we're going to be all right. We got you. It'll be good.
Well, so I gave him his own soundbite, and he didn't even prepare the news.
Well, another news story that actually just dropped earlier today is Microsoft is closing all of their stores except for 2, right?
Yeah, so we did get the word today that Microsoft is closing all their public-facing Microsoft stores except for, I believe it was London, New York, and Seattle.
That's the other one.
So if you have a Microsoft store near you and you are not in one of those places, I highly recommend you go say hello and see if they're giving away free Surfaces. I'm not saying that they are. Probably not.
Well, I do think if anybody thinks, oh, this is proof that Microsoft's in trouble, that's absolutely not the case. I think Microsoft, if you remember, Microsoft had their own phones. When they opened up the Microsoft store, and it was the beginning of the Surface. I think they were really trying to be this customer service, bring your devices to us. We have these devices we're selling, just similar to the Apple store. What it has become over the years, more than half of the store, we have a store here in Salt Lake City, more than half that store is Xbox. It is Xbox Central. That brand is so strong that I think there's just not a need. They weren't able to provide the service because they don't have the devices like an Apple has. Right. What they do have is Xbox. And it was very apparent. I mean, there's Let's Plays, there's tournaments at the stores. It became a glorified GameStop.
Great.
Here's a thought.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's slightly related, but it has to do with Mixer, them shutting down Mixer. What if Microsoft was just cutting Mixer off right now, to save a lot of money, to double down on getting the price point of the Series X lower than what they originally were thinking?
Well, there are rumors out there that Microsoft's intention is to be at least $50 cheaper than PlayStation.
What if that was a move to just cut that off and just
cut the fat
to make it so they just dominate the next sales point?
Yep, perhaps. I mean, it would be a legitimate strategy to just undercut, and I mean, they lost money on the first Xbox just to get in the market.
Because
that would not do that again.
That would screw over Sony hard. That'd be a
ballsy move.
That would be
when it came to acquiring new customers. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, obviously the Sony player base is super loyal, and so $50 isn't going to make a difference between here or there. But when it comes to mom and dad wanting to buy their kid's first console, that absolutely could be a sticking point. Especially when you think about the value of Game Pass and the value of the xCloud. Like those are going to be extremely important. And then on top of that, the price of entry is now 50 points lower, or with rumors of the S version of the Series X being even cheaper than the Series X, maybe that barrier to entry is significantly lower than the PS5.
Anyways, I was just thinking that.
Well,
I just randomly think of stuff.
Yeah, there you go. Well, just to piggyback off of TIE Fighter's point, think about that sales pitch that you would give to mom and dad looking to buy a console for their kids. We're cheaper, and here's Game Pass, where you get access to over 100 games, fantastic games, all of our exclusives. Boom, right there for you. I mean, I think that makes it a very easy sell point, and easily, to mass distribute that to everybody. I mean, why not? Why wouldn't you have one? Why wouldn't you have one? Why not? It's cheaper. And on top of that, if they are the most powerful console, they've got that to sell too. We're more powerful, for cheaper, and we've got this Game Pass thing going on.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Cool.
I love Xbox. Do you guys like Xbox?
I love it so much. Is this an Xbox podcast?
It's pretty cool, right? I think it's pretty cool.
That brings us to the last segment of our show.
I like it.
This is the segment of the show where we take.
That next week.
This is the segment of the show where we take your questions. To submit a question, you can do so each and every single week over on Patreon. Patreon.com/XoneBros. No, it's /positive gaming. It's XoneBros.com /support. Before we get to the questions, I got to shout out another super chat from Cooper. He says, cheers to the new YouTube chapter of the podcast. Thank you very much, Cooper. Appreciate that. Let's jump into our first question that comes from the one and only Super Shark. He says, hello, positive gamers. Why do Call of Duty and Halo players not get along? He says, I play both games, but I'm new to Call of Duty. I'm blown away at how negative these communities are towards each other. Solve the problem. Save the world. Thanks, bros.
Solve the problem.
Let's go to Mr. McSpicy. Mr. McSpicy is both a big Halo player and a big Call of Duty player. Thoughts? Why don't these two communities get along? Where does the animosity come from?
So I mean, the question is, why do fanboys exist?
Yeah.
And how do you deal with them, and how do you turn them off? That's a great question. Fanboyism is an interesting concept. The funny thing about all this is they're both games and they're both fun.
Yeah.
And why? Why? I don't know. That's the big question we all don't know. I like Xbox. I like my PlayStation. I like my Nintendo Switch. But there are, you have those circles. I'm in the overlapping circle, right?
I just like
diagram.
games. I think games are great.
Great games are fun. They're supposed to be fun. But why does fanboyism exist, and how do you deal with that? I don't know.
Do you think with Call of Duty and Halo, perhaps they both see themselves as having more skill than the other, and that's the clash right there?
I think there absolutely is arguments on both sides for being more of a purist and better shooter,
Correct.
right? Because you have people from the Modern Warfare side saying like, oh, one headshot gets one kill, so precision is great, and that makes me a high quality and precision gamer. And then when it comes to Halo, strategy might be a little bit more important because people don't die with a single shot.
Yeah, it's cat and mouse,
right? And so you have shields and you have abilities, and like you said, they're two very different games. But there will always be people that are going to go die hard for one or the other. But then there's people like us that are just like, games are great.
Yeah, I don't know how to do. I don't get it either. I honestly don't get it. Maybe it's obviously the more younger you are, the more you care to
The
be
more
on,
you pick a team.
Yeah, and I think there's probably many
I don't know, I feel
reasons.
like older people get like even
Well, they do too,
deeper
but they
and
just
grim.
haven't grown up yet.
Okay.
No, I don't know. For example, I have family members that are very young that when Fortnite was huge, they were Fortnite players. They're under 10, right? When Fortnite was huge, Apex came out, and Apex is an amazing game. I was playing Fortnite a lot. I love Fortnite. I love Apex. I think it's an incredible game that just came out of nowhere. He did not have this person I'm talking about. He did not have Apex. Never played it, but he just said it was stupid. It's just dumb.
A well-thought-out argument.
The best is Fortnite. The Fortnite is the best. The other one is dumb. I think it has to do with them not playing it as much or at all, and not having access to it is another thing. I feel as though, you have for example, let's go a little bit bigger and say console wars now, right? Let's say I could only get an Xbox. Well, I enjoy the Xbox, but now I can't get the PlayStation, so
Screw those guys.
Screw those guys. You know what? They have that. This is way better. In my mind, I'm saying that, right? I actually don't say that. I would probably be like, I'm going to work a little bit more hours this week so I can buy a PlayStation because I really like that. But I think there's variables that are like that make it so they lean towards maybe it's outside of their it makes them uncomfortable because they can't have access to it. I don't know. There's a whole I don't know how the mindset works for a fanboy.
I'm going to take this one step deeper.
Okay, all right,
Here we
next
go.
level.
We're going.
Countries.
So if you've ever played a game, not just passively, but really ingrained yourself into the game and the culture around the game, and you're talking with other people on the forums for the game, like this forum is your life. And to a degree, there are people who get so ingrained in it that becomes part of how they define themselves.
Correct, yeah.
And so when someone comes to you and says, my game is better than your game, I'm sure there's something internalizing there that says what defines me is better than what defines you.
Yeah, it becomes part of your identity.
Right. And so then you're not attacking the game someone likes, you're attacking someone. And they take it very personally because if I'm so embedded in this game and you're talking poorly about that game, you're actually talking poorly about me. And so I think that's the why. I'm not saying that there's people in this room or community that are like that, but I think that may be the foundation, and it just comes from passion, right? It all comes from people who love a specific game so much that they've come to let it overtake part of how they define themselves. And I think if we just show people that it's okay to allow people to talk poorly about a game without talking poorly about a person, then it's okay to dissociate the two.
Yeah, that's a great analysis, guys. Great question. Thank you very much, Super Shark, for writing in. Next question comes from Black Knight. He says, "Hey, bros, with Xbox showing a lot of good stuff lately, makes me really excited for July. What are you excited for? Also sad about Mixer, which means you're moving. Just letting you know, wherever you guys go, I'll go. Just let us know much love." Thank you very much, Black Knight. Appreciate it. So, all the stuff we're expecting the Xbox to show in July, what are we most excited for? Can I start?
Absolutely.
I am most excited to see what brand new IP they're going to show us. I think we know we're getting at least a couple, and I want to know what is, and a true next-gen brand new IP. When you look at the PlayStation conference, I was really surprised that we didn't see one there, brand new AAA, like a generation-defining game. I'm hoping that Microsoft has one. I'm excited to see if they have one, and if they do, I think that builds hype and continued motivation going into this next generation. That's what I'm most excited for. TIE Fighter, how about yourself?
I am excited to see. I need to word this correctly. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how they evolve Halo.
Oh, you're taking my answer.
Sorry.
Oh man, you should have done me first.
So because Halo has been in a position, Halo 4, Halo 5, Halo has been stale. Halo has really not been killing it like they should have been, especially since Xbox has leaned on that franchise so hard for their definition of a first-party franchise. And I don't think that Halo has delivered for them really since Halo 3.
I mean, for good reason. Halo is why Xbox exists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3 are honestly generation-defining games.
Yeah.
And I don't think that 4 and 5 have lived up to that. And so now they're getting away from the numbering. They're going to Halo Infinite. And so they are evolving what it means to be Halo.
Evolve.
Halo Evolve.
Oh,
that would be very cool.
I see what you did there.
And so, what does that mean? What does that mean for me as a player? I hope to God it doesn't just mean another name for Halo 6, because it needs to be something greater. Yeah. And I just want to see what they've done there.
Yeah. Well, I just want to see anything on Halo Infinite, right? I want to see it. I want to feel it. I want to touch it. You know what I mean? Loving, touching, squeezing by Journey. I want that baby making music with it. You know what I mean? I want to play that game. So I'm a fan of Halo. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great question, Black Knight. Thank you very much for writing in. On Halo Infinite, what do we think it's going to be? Obviously, Infinite implies a never-ending loop, right? It's infinite. It's not going to stop. We've talked about this before at length, but is there anything that has come up lately, or anything that we think is it going to be a social hub, more like Destiny? How do they do? They've got to walk this fine line of bringing something new to the table, being generation defining, but maintaining that Halo feel, and that's really hard to do, I think.
Yeah, and on it, introducing something like a social hub or an open world or loot, things that really define games as a service now, none of that has ever been a part of the series. And so, is that the kind of evolution that Halo vets are looking for? I'm not sure. Yeah. But then, if you were to ask me what would make Halo Infinite, that probably would have been my answer to what would that be, but I'm not sure that's exactly what Halo veterans are looking for, because they've been following this single player story experience, but also this wonderful multiplayer on the side. Loot has never been a part of that. Like social hubs have never been a part of that. Open worlds have never really been a part of that. So I'm not sure. I mean, that would be my answer, but I don't know if that's what people are looking for.
So for me, what defines a good Halo game is Master Chief. Whenever you go away from Master Chief, as far as the story, right? Yeah. As soon as you go away from that, it's kind of just like whatever. But Master Chief, and maybe it's just because I'm nostalgic. Maybe that's just how I.
Well, he is a great character.
He's an awesome character. On top of that, so you have that story aspect, but clean arena, balanced maps gameplay as far as PvP goes. Just you have power items on the map, kind of a thing. That is important in a Halo game. I'm talking about hardcore Halo players, what they like in a game.
Like Halo 2 style.
Correct. Yeah, that's what we like about Halo. having anything built on top of that in an infinite way, I think will bring in probably better, more audience, but that is what Halo core players, I think, are probably looking for.
So if you're over at 343 and you started the Halo Infinite discussion years and years ago, you start with this core and you build around that out. And it's gonna be interesting to see, because you don't want to take away the Halo identity. You don't want to be seen as a copycat, because you are Halo. I mean, this is it.
You set the trend.
You set the trend. What trend are you going to set? What are you doing? I'm glad that's not my job. I think that's very
I know
difficult.
there's a lot of pressure, and I mean, because we're all content creators here, and I do a lot with artwork and photography and graphic design and everything, and there is so much pressure to please with my clients. It's actually, there's a whole psychology thing that messes with your head, but when there is pressure on top of you to not just create something, but to create something that a client would like
and is revolutionary and is pushing it forward. Oh.
That is crushing. I don't envy them, but I'm excited to see what they do.
Yeah, well, and
that is crushing.
Here's the thing: so far, we know the steps that they've taken are correct. Especially when you talk about what makes Halo Halo is Master Chief. At E3, the story that we've seen so far, it's very Master Chief centric. That was really cool to see. That's a nice little step in the right direction, starting point. But beyond that, it has been Silent Town.
Yeah,
that's a ton of pressure. I think I would have had a breakdown if it was my job, but it's exciting. Anubis writes in and says, not sure if this is the place to ask, so feel free not to answer this. This is absolutely the place to ask. He says,
what is he asking?
He says, occasionally I think about starting a podcast myself. One thing I wonder is, did you need to copyright your name? Did you do that right away or wait a while before you took the leap? Thank you. You don't technically need to copyright anything.
No.
Yeah, technically, as long as you can prove it's yours when it started. My wife works for a patent law firm, and they handle copyright stuff or she did. They handle copyright law stuff all the time. So, you don't need to copyright.
I say the biggest thing once you've decided on a name is making sure that you grab like the screen names on YouTube or Twitch or whatever service you are going to be posting your podcast to. So, like, if you want to make X2Bros your name, you got to make sure you go to YouTube and make sure you can snag X2Bros on YouTube, right?
And just for the record, if you snag X2Bros, I will make it my mission to crush you. so do not grab X2Bros. McSpicy, just give.
I'm gonna go buy that domain right now.
McSpicy, just let's bounce off this. Give one tip for people who are thinking of starting a podcast.
Okay, just do it. Just
That
go.
is excellent advice.
Just go. You're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna screw up a lot, but what do we do when we fall down, Bruce? We get back up, right? Just doing it is going to give you a ton of experience.
Amen.
I agree. And striving for perfection on your first episode will only delay that first episode forever.
Yeah,
so
correct.
If you have, if you have a headset that has a microphone on it and something on your computer that can record, you have everything you need to start making a podcast. And I assure you, once you get to the point where your podcast is at the quality that you're happy with, you will also be super happy that it is on episode 50 instead of episode 1.
Yeah.
Because now you have 50 episodes worth of experience to really take advantage of the gear that is making it great.
Yeah, if you go back and if you head to our YouTube channel, you can click on our XoneBros playlist. It has every single episode we've ever had. And just go to day 1.
Yeah.
Go to episode
awful.
Go to episode 25. Go to episode 58 where we had Major Nelson on the show.
Heyo.
And we had him on the show, and I look back and I think, oh, well, that's pretty good for where we were. But overall, I cringe, right? Like, because you improve so much. So yeah, just do it. That's a great piece of advice.
And it's never going to be good enough. With my personality, this happens with a lot of people, but it's never good enough. If it were up to me, I would be sitting here. We wouldn't be streaming. I would be figuring out how to get it better and better and better. Just do it. Just go for it and let it ride. By the way, I think you're embarrassed with some of our first episodes, David.
I kind of am, yeah.
I know. Yeah. Do you remember your black and white artsy phase?
Oh, there was a black and white artsy phase. There was like, I think that's in the hundreds, actually.
I know.
That was in this
room. That was this room we're in now.
In this room. We're over 100 episodes in, and one day we're sitting here getting ready to stream, and Spicy has it on black and white for something. I was like, hey,
I was tweaking
I was
something.
like, why don't we just leave it like that and try it?
And I was like, okay.
And on our 24-hour stream, when those come up, when I see them, I skip. I go boop 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 because it's like, what was I thinking?
Please describe to me what the black and white.
So we had a webcam that showed the whole side of the room, right, just right over there, and I was tweaking before we had this camera set up. We had multiple webcams, and it was really complicated, and I had to tweak the settings per show. And I was tweaking. I think I accidentally grabbed the saturation and dropped it down. And the whole thing, and he was just like, "What?" It was like, because it was the wide cam, it's like on a slight like Dutch angle and everything. It's totally like we had to go at the end say El fin.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, but yeah. Well, that lasted like 2 months, right?
No, it
no.
it lasted.
Was it a lot more than that?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
No,
It was
no,
like-
no. It wasn't 2 months, but it was 4 or 5 episodes for sure.
That's a month and a half, David.
Yeah, okay, a month. It was at
That's
least
so
a month.
funny.
In fact, I'm scrolling here. I'm trying to find it real quick. Maybe in the post show, we can bring it up.
Oh,
and
yeah.
reminisce.
Are you just gonna delete those VODs?
It is. Well, I can't because
Get
this
'em
is-
outta here.
This is archiving history.
I know.
You can't get rid of that stuff though,
And you
because
see-
it made you who you are today.
I know.
It's true.
We
It's
see
true.
like, because our first couple of shows we were doing it over Skype, and then we moved to the smallest room like you've ever been in your life.
Yeah.
Your old house.
Oh, yeah.
It was probably from here to that. It was probably from here
Like
to that wall.
the three of us sitting was almost wall to wall
That's
in the
cute.
room.
That's cute.
Yeah.
And then how it all happened. I'm just glad we're here now.
Yeah. Anyways, great question. Thank you very much, Anubis, for writing.
Just do it.
And yes, next question comes from the one and only Bren Diggy. He says, "Hey bros, I need a new gamer tag. Currently, it's Veteran Assassin." He says, "When I was 26, I thought I was the old guy playing games, so I mashed 2 Magic the Gathering cards together: Royal Assassin and Veteran Bodyguard." And that came up with Veteran Assassin. The new ideas
I
I
like
come
it.
up with are plays on names, none of which are my name. So not sure if that's a problem. He says, here's his top ideas: Teeth Sweat.
Oh, he's in chat.
His Teeth Sweat is there. Yes, it looks like he might have decided on Teeth Sweat.
I think he made the answer. Yeah.
Teeth Sweat, which is a play on R&B singer named Keith Sweat. Martin Scores Easy, which I'm sure is
I like
obvious,
that.
though an inappropriate moniker for this married guy. So the question is, do you have any advice with coming up for a new gamer tag?
Thanks, Bren Diggity.
Bren Diggity,
which I think
yes.
really is the answer to what my gamer tag should
Yeah,
be.
I
Bren
actually
Diggity.
Bren Diggy. I think Bren Diggy is my favorite of your gamer tags. I think it has identity. I think it's cool. My advice on coming up with a gamer tag, and I see this all the time streaming on Clutch, is whatever it is, and you talked about this with the podcast. Whatever it is, make it your identity and make it across all platforms.
Yep.
I see it like my name is
TIE Fighter.
Buttwin25 on
Buttwin 69.
Buttwin69
Nice.
on Twitch, but my Instagram is Joe Schmo and my YouTube is Gary, whatever,
Sphinxter.
Sphinxter, and my Instagram is this. Like you've got to unify it. Whatever you pick, everything needs to become that. That needs to become your identity. My wife was just saying last night when she met TIE Fighter for the first time, she says, "What's your name? All I know you is TIE Fighter."
Ooh,
it's
nice.
because that is his identity. Spicy
much.
is spicy. I am X1. Jordan is Jordan the man, right? Like that is.
Jordan, he's a good example of also just remember your passwords.
He has literally changed his gamer tag because he forgot his
He's
password.
Jordan the
multiple
Man
times.
XOB.
For that, though.
Yeah.
Jordan the Man XOB.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a difficult time giving advice about how you choose a screen name. So the name TIE Fighter came to me when I was a strapping young 17-year-old. If you look back, it was originally TIE Fighter 559 because I grew up in the 559 area
559.
code of Fresno, the nickel 9. That's right. Shout out. And that was a horrible idea. If I had wanted it, I could have had just TIE Fighter right there. If I'd have submitted it to Xbox, I could have had it just
Gold.
plain.
With
And
that
it would have been...
IE?
Huh? No,
What-
TY.
TY, yeah, 'cause of your name,
TYFIGHTER. And I could have had it and it would have been mine forever, but I had to have the 559. And so by the time I figured out that was a horrible idea, someone else had swooped in and taken it. Anyway, there was a time in my content creation career over the last 4 years where I'm like, man, like I'm not really a Star Wars genius. That's not really part of my brand. So do I want TIE Fighter to be my name? And I'm going to tell you, I spent months trying to figure out like what is the best thing to define me, like how do I define my brand, my culture, myself. But honestly, like, you know, my name is Tyler, and TIE Fighter makes a really easy transition from Tyler to TIE Fighter. And so people just call me Ty generally, and that's how people know me now. And if I were going to change my brand, it would have to be something vastly different, and I would lose a lot of people that already knew me as TIE Fighter.
TIE Saber.
TIE Saber. Yeah.
TIE Saber. TIE Star.
There you go. See, we got 2 winning ideas right here. But anyway, yeah, it was a very difficult choice because you're not just choosing a gamer tag that sounds
your
catchy.
ID.
You are identifying
TIE
yourself
Wars.
as
TIE Wars.
So anyway, I wish I could give you way better advice, but TIE Fighter has stuck with me for the better
Big
part.
Spicy advice
decade.
on coming up with a gamer tag.
I don't know about advice because I've had mine since I was like 14. But do you know who makes the best names?
Who?
Koreans.
Oh,
They use like elements,
that is true.
like,
Unobtainium.
Unobtainium.
no, there's just like smoke and like now my mind went blank with all the StarCraft
Name
players.
2 more.
Okay, hold on.
StarCraft.
I know. It's been so long since I've watched the GSL.
Earth, air, fire,
No, but it's like,
water, heart.
can people in chat help me out? You guys, you put me on the
I
spot.
got you.
Just
Captain
look up.
Planet,
Just
he's
name
the
some names.
hero.
They do so
I
good.
just named 5.
What did you name?
Earth,
Oh.
air, fire, water.
With our powers combined.
There's literally an article how Koreans pick their StarCraft names.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like so.
Oh, it's like a meme.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I'm gonna pull some up because I can't remember. My mind is leaving me now. I'm getting older.
This is that quality content they show up for.
I'm seeing
Jesus.
Mewtwo King. That's U.S. esports players.
The one I know of is Faker. Like he's the big time esports player.
Jojo
for
Knack. It's good.
Liquidpedia.
Sinatra
Epic
with
Wash
2
Block.
A's.
Yeah, he's good.
Oh, I like that name.
That's
a good
cool.
one.
Yeah.
It's got some class to it, some jazz. I dig it.
I'm trying to look
That
that
does
up.
have some
But they
class.
they like look up StarCraft players and look up Korean players. They do an excellent job. They know how to choose their. Oh,
I mean,
do you know who I really like, by the way? Is Marine King. He's retired, but I love that name too, Marine King.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. Has like a ring to it.
Marine King Prime?
It feels like
Yeah.
to a degree, it's something as simple as just opening up a dictionary to a random page and then just reading through and seeing if any of those words really catch your eye or inspire a brand, and then you build them up kind of one word at a time and throw them together into a word cloud and see what happens.
That's actually not a bad way to do it.
Because there's so many of these esports players, especially, like their name has nothing to do with who they are or what they represent. It is just a name, and it is one word, and it works, right? So maybe just pull out a dictionary and toss it up in the air and see what page it lands on.
Here is a gamer tag generator
Oh, there you
on
go.
Google. Here are some ideas. Nullabicity.
Nullabis. See, that's a winner.
That's good. Trigonometer.
Okay, can I give you
trigonometry
can I
is
give
good.
you some of the ones that I
That's
know?
good, yeah.
Okay, so you have Dark.
Okay.
Dark is a name. You have Cure.
Ooh, nice.
yeah.
Cure.
Innovation.
Innovation.
You actually have
those,
Ty.
those sound like
TY?
Yeah.
He's a thief.
I know. Dream.
Dream.
Like these names are awesome.
Dude, here's one. Megascope.
Ooh, I like that. It's like microscope,
Megascope?
but mega.
Megascope.
Like there's a announcer that I really like as gamer tag. His name is Tasteless.
Oh,
And I
that's
love that
good.
name.
Tasteless.
Tasteless
good.
is such a good name.
See, I bet that's in the dictionary. You could have found it if you looked.
Here's
Is tasteless a word?
No, I guess it wouldn't be in the dictionary, but you'd find taste and be like, what if it wasn't that?
What if it what if it
minus
didn't
taste
happen?
from taste.
If there's no taste buds in a forest, would the tree fall? You know?
Great question. Thank you very much, Bren Diggy.
Dark Dream, a new scent by TIE Fighter.
Thank you very much for writing in. Appreciate it, Bren Diggy. I think you've decided on Teeth Sweat, which is pretty.
I like that one.
Which
Teeth
is
Sweat's
pretty
a good
cool.
one.
Teeth Sweat sounds intense.
But
That is
also
pretty cool.
extremely unsettling.
It also like strikes fear.
Do not want my teeth to start sweating.
Last question comes from the one and only Psychotic. He says, "Hey guys, I just got finished working on a project for you, so expect to give the mail sometime soon." Ooh, thank you very much, Psychotic. We're very excited.
Thank you.
He said, "I watched the CyberPunk gameplay yesterday or this week, and it made me think of this question: what class are you thinking of starting as? Is that the same class you always play, or do you try to change it up once in a while? Keep up the great work. So let's review the classes real quick. In Cyberpunk 2077, we do have the Netrunner class. Now, the Netrunner class, these are basically your tech people. You can plug yourselves into a network and use data as a weapon. Netrunners have advanced cybernetic augments, which allow them to plug into the minds of their enemies, inflicting viruses on them. That's pretty freaking cool.
Nice.
You then have Solo, the Solo class. Solos are a collection of professional hitmen who have an innate ability to detect traps and danger in their surroundings. They also have a heightened sensory awareness of possible threats. Sounds very much like a Ranger class type of class, right? And last but not least, you've got
I'd say rogue, more like a rogue class.
Yeah. And then you've got the techie. Techies are there to craft new gadgets. They are experts in tinkering with cybernetic augments, but they can also build traps, sabotage tech, and use their unique hacking abilities in combat. Let's start with Mr. McSpicy. First of all, what class do you usually go for? And then what class are you looking forward to here in Cyberpunk?
There's a couple I usually do. I like range DPS, like glass cannon style DPS.
Archer wizard.
Yeah, totally. And
Respect.
and I love to be stealth. So another class I really enjoy is like the rogue, just stealth attacks, stealth kills. Those two are my main stuff that I like to do. Although I will dabble in support. For like healing and stuff like that, right? So now I'm not talking necessarily about this, but I like range damage, I like sneaking, and I like to be anything but tanks.
Sure, okay.
Okay.
Tank is not your
I don't know how to be alive when I'm a tank, right? With this, the Solo looks really, really cool, but the Netrunner looks like DPS.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, inflicting damage.
I would be a hybrid between these two.
Okay.
So I would balance stealth, and I would see if I can do some like AOE damage or just that kind of style.
So you're going
DPS stealth. What I like.
You're going. Let's settle on Solo. But what kind of genitals as a Solo?
I don't want them too big. You know, I want.
So
them,
you are going outward protruding genitals of some sort.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Maybe a mustache somewhere.
So a Solo with
Special.
A Solo
What we're
with
talking about,
nuts.
he's probably really confused.
I know what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, you were looking like you were looking uncomfortable. With David, it always comes
nuts.
Yeah, it's always nuts with David.
I respect you if you've got nuts.
But no, I'm just thinking of mustache.
TIE Fighter, classes you normally play as, that you like to play as, and then what class in
I'm going to be honest. I feel slightly uncatered to here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I am in Destiny. I am a Titan. In Diablo, I am a barbarian / crusader. I am a
Frontline.
I am a
defense.
brawler. I am a
brawler. Yeah.
I punch. I charge my way right into the middle of the fray. And these do not seem to fit that in any way. I mean, yes, you have the Netrunner who uses cybernetics to allow them to plug into the minds of enemies, but that seems very like.
These all seem very technical almost, so we don't understand how they.
But like I feel like, and there have been characters that they've showed in the trailers.
Sure.
I feel like I've seen brawlers in the trailers, big hulking guys with entire cybernetic arms or cybernetic chests and shoulders that would just be 100% the forward shoulder charge into the middle of everything.
Is that techies because they're experts in cybernetic augments?
So like,
that might be techies, no?
We build traps and sabotage tech. Like that is absolutely not what I am. Not a trap setter. I am
the giant muscular arm.
I am a trap springer,
Yeah,
so I can jump through the trap and punch whoever set it.
Yeah.
Like that, and I don't feel like any of these three options do that.
Soviet Russia traps at you.
However, I will say that what we've seen as a part of the demo that I saw at E3 and the information that we've gotten since then, these are only just the start. And so if I start as a solo or if I start as a Netrunner, I don't think that really matters to my experience with the game.
Not hampered
You are not
in.
locked into whatever these
pretty
descriptions
sure they
are.
said that in the last. You know how they had where they talked on their webcams. I'm pretty sure, if I remember, they mentioned that this is not set. It's very dynamic as it goes out.
Very ESO, where you start with a class, but that class is not traditional locked-in class.
Correct.
This seems more like choosing your species.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know how in ESO or in Skyrim you choose your species and you're like, okay, I'm a cat, so that means I'm very sneaky. But really, you can end up being a brawler cat if you want to be, or you can end up being a sneaky orc
your
if you want to be.
Your class gives you like passive advantages, perhaps, but
Yeah,
then you
but
determine
then you
how you
build
evolve
yourself
that.
how you want to build. Yeah.
Very interesting. I usually play any magic character. However, I discovered that I really enjoy tanks because I don't have to wait and I can just rush in, and that's just what I do.
That's totally your style.
Yeah, and
I mean, we tried to play lots of stealth games with you, and you don't care.
Oh, I get frustrated, and then I just run in. So tank, I discovered.
Try playing Payday with him. Try playing Payday 2 with this guy. He will get your team killed every time.
So tank. So whatever the tank is, it seems like techie with those augments might be something where I can augment up, but I don't know. Whatever that class is, I'd probably go techie here on CyberPunk. Great question. Thank you very much, Psychotic, for writing in. It's very exciting. CyberPunk. It's on its way. Super exciting. TIE Fighter. Before we get out of here for the week. First of all, thank you very much for being here. Filling in for Jordan.
Talk about an absolute pleasure to be here with you guys. I mean,
have
on
ya.
the other side of the camera, we've known each other for so long, and I've experienced this podcast from the other side for so many years, and it's really cool to be here and sit here with the mics and you guys. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here.
What games are you playing right now? What's your plan for the upcoming week in your game selection?
So we alluded to it a little bit during the show, but I'm very much a Destiny player, and so I'm completely bought in. That is my hobby, what I do, and so I usually keep up with that pretty hard. I am gearing up for what will be a season of open worlds, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday. But I'm sorry, XoneBros, but I'm very excited for Ghost of Tsushima on PlayStation. That comes
you know
out.
what? I'm a fanboy, and I don't want you to have fun.
You can't do that. But that is going to be really great. And then when it comes to the next generation, seeing things like CyberPunk, but also AC Valhalla is going to be really cool. But I mean, overall, I'm really excited for the industry for what Xbox is going to show next season or next month.
Yeah, are you of the mindset? Do you think they're rolling right now? Do you think that they? I mean, when you look at compared to the Xbox One launch, how do you think they're doing in comparison to that? And then when you look at it in comparison to PlayStation so far, and obviously next month you'll have a final decision, but so far, how do you think they're doing?
I think they were doing really good up until their first game showcase in May, and I don't think anyone was really blown away by the first game showcase. I mean, they showed some fun stuff. They showed some indies. They showed a couple AAAs. They really stumbled with the messaging around what the Assassin's Creed Valhalla trailer was going to be, so that was kind of a bummer. And I think people were really ready for that first mic drop on that first expose of what games were coming to the Xbox One X, when really there wasn't. July was always kind of supposed to be the big moment for them, and so I think they're doing great. I think the idea of what the Xbox Series X is very clear. The value proposition for Game Pass Ultimate has always been very strong and will continue to get stronger as Series X comes out. But I think we really need that big final punch of these are what all of our first-party games are going to look like. These are the things you can't get anywhere else, and this is how awesome that they're going to look on the Series X is going to be.
And real quick, you're moving to Twitch from Mixer.
Plug the crap out of yourself.
Yeah,
right?
one more
Tell
time.
everybody he is awesome. TIE Fighter is the man. So
that's very nice.
Yeah.
So I am TIE Fighter TV pretty much everywhere. That's TYFIGHTER. Unfortunately, I did have to add an underscore to my name when I moved to Twitch because unfortunately every screen name ever invented is already taken on that platform. And so if you don't add underscores or lives or TVs or any number of different alterations to your name, you just can't get it. So yeah, TIE Fighter TV on Twitch, TIE Fighter underscore TV on Twitch, and then just TIE Fighter TV on Twitter. I also write for Clutch. If you guys have ever heard of Clutch.win, the platform for sharing game clips, I write for their blog. So I write Destiny guides and guides for The Division and Borderlands, and I cover all the major releases for big games with reviews and features as well. So if you guys like that kind of stuff, check me out.
That's absolutely. Spicy.
Oh yes, David.
What's your gameplay? I don't even know what you've been playing this week. This has been a weird week.
Well, it's been actually because of the Mixer thing. I have done a lot more back end.
That kind of swamped us.
It swamped me pretty hard. I mean, I'm not running off of too much. I didn't have much sleep last night, so because I was preparing for the stream and everything. That's crazy. I have a lot more to do. But if I choose to play a game, it's going to be Yakuza. Because that game's hilarious, and I love that. Have you played that game yet?
It's got so much character.
It is.
That's the one where you go like dancing at the club and stuff.
Dude,
right?
do everything. You run. You run a very shady club, and you do some things.
Yeah,
you do some things that no other game you will do.
You want to talk about passion? Okay.
All right.
That game is it just makes me laugh. The story is extremely serious, as only a Japanese mafia story could be. And then the open world part is extremely hilarious, as only a Japanese anime would be.
Okay.
Like it is good. So I'll be playing that. I'll be playing probably dabble in Hearthstone, but Tarkov has
a place in your heart.
It's still a
I
place
got a
in
lot
my
of
heart.
respect for Tarkov. They came out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden there was just one big update that a lot of streamers jumped in on, and then it just exploded.
Yeah. What really pushes Tarkov is the loot is so valuable in that game. Like
really?
you want to talk about loot being important. It is so extremely valuable and it is so hard to get. And when you play a match, you could lose it all. Oh. And so when they do drops on Twitch where if you watch someone else streaming it and then randomly every couple hours you get something in your inventory, it could be good, it could be bad, but when you get something good, like I got some Bitcoins and stuff that are really valuable in that game, you get excited because drops are enabled. I'm watching somebody and anyways, the butt clenching experience of that game is fantastic.
Yeah, more butt clenching the better.
Amen. 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 Myself, I'm obviously going to be continuing my journey of vigor. I'm just addicted to that game right now. But I was talking to Maldo Rob from the community the other day.
Yeah, he's a good man.
He's really into Elite Dangerous, and I've been wanting to get back into Elite Dangerous for a while, and I just haven't. It's sitting there on my box. It's one of those things, just do it, like that was our advice. I just haven't done it. I've been watching lots of beginner guides because the learning curve on space simulator games is so...
Any simulator game.
Is so insane. So
You want to borrow my Thrustmaster?
I might need to borrow your Thrustmaster, yes. The big thing, we had a big question this week on, is Star Wars Squadron, speaking of Thrustmaster, going to be enabled with HOTA? Controls, joystick controls. It is. All
I'm
of them.
sure it will be.
It is
yeah.
100%. EA came out and did announce that. So if you're wondering that's a big deal. But
it's VR too. They're not gonna have VR.
VR, I bet you will be really flight games. And if you want to get into VR, is not gimmicky with all flight games. Like Elite Dangerous, it's so good because it makes sense. You're just sitting there. You don't have to move around. You're just sitting there. You can look around your cockpit. It's perfect for flight and racing.
One of the greatest things I've seen in the Elite Dangerous community, which is an awesome community, by the way. I would dabble on the Reddit threads and everything. There was a guy who created his full chair setup with joysticks. So what he sees is what he feels. But he also, because you have the dashboard and you have to, type everything, you have to request stuff, you have your ship manifold and all this stuff. And on the right side, in the bottom corner, he put a webcam of his real life kid in a crib, so he could look over and check to see if the baby was still sleeping
in VR.
In VR. And so he could be flying, and he would look down and make sure his kid's still sleeping.
So in Elite Dangerous,
in his interface,
it's in his interface on his ship.
Yeah, in Elite Dangerous, it's a hub, and it's holographic hubs. So cool.
It's awesome.
That's so cool. So there you go. Before we head out, maybe we could hit the exit button. Super Shocker, got to call it a super chat from Super Shocker. He says this is what they call super chat. Well, thank you very much, Super Shocker. Guys, thank you for the support. It's an exciting time. This is the next chapter in the community, in the X1Bros. Come join us, youtube.com/X1Bros. We do have a membership over here that you can join. Similar to what was on Mixer in chat, where you get emotes, custom emotes. You get the sexy Xticle, the badge. It's there.
Beautiful thing.
The Xticles.
Yes, come join us. Have a great week, everybody. We love you. Bye-bye.
Right.
Welcome back, everybody. Hey, guys.